Dave's Delicious Dogs. Taste the difference.
Dave. Do you know, I've realised I don't even know your surname. You are just Dave from Dave's Delicious Dogs.
The Colonel Sanders was just called Colonel.
Lovely to have you with us. We are also joined by Alison Cain, and I'd love to tell people how you're referred to sometimes, but we will just call you the regional manager of Dave's Delicious Dogs this afternoon, Alison. So Dave, you are going to be a bit like Cher and just have no surname. You are just going to be...
No. To my friends, they call me all kinds of things, but my surname is Valkema. In the Dutch language, that means falcon. So either my ancestors were falcon trainers, which was the big sport of the era, or they had hooked noses.
Or he's a superhero. Sounds to me like a superhero. Or a villain.
It's that sort of heritage, though, that really is the beginning of the Dave's Dogs story. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I've been doing business in the British Isles in the reinsurance business for 30 years now. And I come week at a time from my hometown of Chicago. And I love a good hot dog. Americans do. It's our iconic food. And when I was pressed to find a hot dog on the streets of London years ago, and I couldn't find one, I was just forlorn. What do I do? So I went without and had a meat pie instead, a pork pie. Very good, but it didn't satiate my taste. And being very thoroughly American, when I couldn't get a good hot dog, I said, right. My grandparents were German and Dutch. I know how to make hot dogs, for heaven's sakes. That's their food. So I started making hot dogs about 3-4 years ago in my kitchen here in Solby on the island. And the learning curve is steep. I had a lot of fun doing it. The first hot dogs didn't look anything like a hot dog as you would envision them. But I got to the point where we were doing pretty good, and the hot dogs were coming out at least tubular shaped. And pretty good. I used my grandmother's recipes for seasons. And so people were asking me, how can we get your hot dogs? I said, well, you can have them. My goodness, I'm just making them for fun. And as the law of financial situations go, supply and demand. I couldn't keep up with the demand anymore. The supply couldn't keep up. So I ended up buying a production facility because I can't keep on making hot dogs for sale in my little kitchen in Solby. And one thing led to another, and voila, Dave's Delicious Dogs was created.
There's also a little bit of the story which I really wanted to tell, which we just missed out there, which is about a hot dog cart. Tell us about that.
Right. I have a friend in New York City. He makes hot dog carts. You know, the iconic New York hot dog cart with a red and yellow umbrella. And he calls me up one day and he says, "Listen, Dave, I've got a cart in Liverpool. Would you like it?" I said, "A cart? A hot dog cart? Well, what am I going to do with a hot dog cart?" This was right before I started making hot dogs. And I said, "Well, yeah, sure, I'll take it. You could give it to me for free." So I sent a guy over to pick it up, brought it to the island, and here I have got a hot dog cart. What am I going to do with it? So then I started sourcing the hot dogs on the island. And I went and found some of those jarred hot dogs, glass jars, and then the ones in tins. And I'm like, I'm reading the back ingredient list, and I'm like, 30% mechanically separated chicken parts on pork hot dogs? What? I couldn't believe it. So I that's when I had started making the hot dogs. I said to my friend in New York City, who asked me a year later, "What are you doing with a hot dog cart?" I said, "Well, I formed a company around the whole idea, and I'm having fun making hot dogs now too." So that's where that came from.
And this is that this whole process gave you some sort of understanding about why British people didn't have the same love for hot dogs as you did.
Absolutely. I can understand why you all don't like hot dogs like we do in America. What you've been offered is not a good, high quality, posh, beautiful, wholesome hot dog. Our hot dogs are all made from meat from my friend Al Tier up in Ballykelly Farm in Andreas. And he grows the most incredibly quality pork and beef that you can buy. So our meat in our hot dogs is steroid-free, GMO-free, antibiotic-free. It's got all the earmarks of a quality product.
And how confident would you be, Dave, of being able to sell those hot dogs on the streets of New York, for example?
Well, let me tell you one thing. I sent the hot dogs to the British Guild of Fine Foods last year, just for fun. I only wanted to find out what their professional tasters and their chefs and their grocery store magnates and all that, what they would say about them, they thought about the flavor of them. That's all I wanted to know. A couple months later, I got a message back saying, you've won the award. You've won the award for the best pork hot dogs, the best beef hot dogs, and the best Polish kielbasa hot dogs in the British Isles. I'm like, well, that's great, but what do you think about them? You like them? I mean, what do you have to say about the taste? So if we can win the British Guild of Fine Foods Great Taste Awards, I think we can please the New Yorkers and the street corners of New York and the Chicago ones.
Do you really eat your hot dogs without buns?
I eat them without buns only because I just like the flavor of the hot dog. I think personally when I'm having a hot dog, I want to taste the hot dog itself to see the quality of it. And that's the easiest way for me to do it.
You were talking about the quality of the meat that you use in your hot dogs, and we've had a text in saying that no Manx beef has hormones, GMOs or antibiotics in them, which is another reason, of course, to buy Manx produce. Let's meet Alison Cain now. And before you started working for Dave's Delicious Dogs, did you like hot dogs?
I did like hot dogs, but obviously they weren't the quality hot dogs that we use. I was just eating them out of tins and glass jars.
Didn't realise what you were missing, Alison.
Exactly.
So just tell us a little bit about your role and what you do in the company.
Well, I'm the regional manager for Dave's Delicious Dogs now. So we have I've just started last summer. I've been with the company for a year now. Last summer we went out and we went to all the summer fairs and everywhere, promoting our hot dogs with our little cart that Dave had sourced from his friend in New York. And we got our name out there. So this year now, my job was in January, we opened up a deli in Ramsey, in St Paul Square, Ramsey. So that's where we sell our hot dogs all year round, not just at summer fairs and events now like last year. And also we promote the Manx produce. So 99.9% of the stuff we use in store is all Manx produce as well.
And the image and brand is key, isn't it, really? Now, I'm wondering who it was that came up with the image, because it's essentially your face, Dave,
it was
isn't
obviously
it?
Dave that did all that, wasn't it?
I look mysteriously like our logo, yes.
And in terms, Dave, of the process of setting up a business over here, how have you found it?
I have found the Isle of Man government, the people in DEFA, the people on the island, the general Manx citizen, amazing to work with. I love the Isle of Man for many different reasons, one of which is doing business on the island is so easy, and the government is here to help us. But it's not just that. It's the people that I've been able to hire, like Alison here. You talk about the strength of womanhood. I tell you one thing, this woman has the strength of 10 women, and she is helping us in so many different ways. She's a strong Scottish lass, and I just wouldn't be able to do it without her right now.
And actually, you're taking it one step further, aren't you? Because, Alison, you mentioned the Ramsey store, but actually you're in the process of getting ready to open another one.
We are, yes. We're doing a takeaway in Douglas, which is hoping to be open at the beginning of May. So that'll be our hot dogs, obviously, but we're going to go down the route of making traditional American-style hamburgers as well. So that'll be something for everybody to look out for when it opens its doors.
May I just interject here that Alison is really, I tell her, never call it a burger. It's a burger. It is a burger, but Americans call them hamburgers, and we call them hamburgers for a reason. There's no ham in the hamburger. It's called that because the man that is credited with inventing the hamburger in America, was a German-American immigrant in, I believe it's Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he was credited with opening of the hamburger stand in the St. Louis World's Fair in the 1890s. And they asked him, what do you call this sandwich you're making out of meat? He says, I call it a hamburger, because that was his hometown, Hamburg, Germany. So there's no ham in the hamburgers of American hamburgers, but it's good beef, and that's why they call it hamburger.
And it's also Manx beef that
And
we're
we're
going to be
using
using
good
as
Manx
well.
beef, yes.
And it's interesting just talking about the meat, because obviously hot dogs, hamburgers, very much thought of as being a meat product. But there are veggie options as well. And Christy, you can attest to that one.
Yeah, I've tried the vegan ones because my folks are huge fans of the store and brought back some vegan hot dogs. And genuinely, I've said in the past before, now becoming sort of pescatarian, I struggle not having, the solidity of a bit of meat in what I'm cooking if it's just vegetables. So they gave me these vegan hot dogs, and the texture and the spice and the flavour and everything is just wonderful. Really, it is like eating a hot dog.
They're flying out the door. I really can't believe how popular they are. Within starting the company within a year ago, as I've just said, I think in the year we sold about 10 packets, but since we've opened the store in Ramsey and everybody's starting to get out there, the fact that we're not just a meat company, they're flying out the door. So yeah, they are great.
How often, Dave, would you say you have hot dogs a week?
Oh, I love hot dogs, so maybe once every other day. But I don't eat them every day. I mean, I do enjoy them, but now that they're all around me, it's not as rare for me to get it. Oh, I love hot dogs. My goodness, I'll eat them every day if I could.
The thing that amazes me is that, just listening to how much the company's grown so fast in such a short space of time, which obviously you didn't originally have plans to have stores and things and takeaways and everything. And yet you Dave, still have a daytime business that you do that has nothing to do with this. How on earth do you manage? Is it basically Alison?
Well, a juggler is always asked how he keeps 10 balls in the air at once. It's a lot of timing, scheduling, hiring the right people. Again, I just can't say that enough. Alison's the right person right now to run this company on the island. That's why I've made her the regional manager, the island and all of the island. But back to how I do it all, I've got a good company in London right now. It's providing a valuable service. We are in the reinsurance business, and I always thought that's what I would do until the day I die. I never, ever envisioned opening up a hot dog stand and having it be so popular that I would go into the hot dog business. I kind of chuckle to myself sometimes. People ask me what I do for a living, and now I have to kind of decide, well, what do? I do a few things. But back to your other point, I've always said my mantra in life is you offer a superior product at a reasonable, rational price, and people will buy it. And that's what we've done with Dave's Delicious Dogs. We've brought a superior product to the other products on the market right now, the tinned and the jarred hot dogs. And the taste is obvious. I can't even say there's any similarity in the product that's in the brine. And our fresh, naturally wholesome, locally made product, and it's flying off the shelves, as Alison was saying.
And on May the 5th, you're practically going to be giving them away, aren't you? Tell us what's happening on May the 5th.
Well, on May the 5th, we're actually having our official grand opening of our Ramsey store, which is based in St Paul's Square. So on the 5th of May, on our grand opening, we're going to have lots of fun things for kids to do, and competitions and raffles and everything like that. But we're also going to be giving away our hot dogs at all traditional prices. So it's debatable on which side. We were talking about £1 each, weren't we? So hope that's usually we'll definitely be flying out the door on that day. But yeah.
Do you know, I've just realised we're in Ramsey on the 5th.
Come on by.
Oh, we are?
Yes, we are.
Is that when we're
doing the thing?
trying? Yeah.
We're doing
You'll
that
hear
thing.
more about that later.
The shop doors open up at 9 o'clock in St. Paul's Square. Dave's Delicious Dogs will be celebrating their first grand opening of Dave's Delicious Delicatessen and Soup Pot. Hot dogs will only be £1 each. And come, and we're going to have a lot of giveaways. We're going to throw in all kinds of fun free packages. Come by. You won't regret it.
And 2 more questions. First of all, I know you'd say that eat the hot dog without a bun or whatever, but most people sort of traditionally like a bun and some sauce and whatever. What's the best way to prepare your hot dog?
Any way you like it. In Chicago, we have a saying that a hot dog cannot be eaten with ketchup on it. It's just a hot dog tradition in Chicago. But you know what I say? If you like ketchup on it, sneak it on and eat it, because that's the way that you like the hot dog is the best. I personally like mine with lots of chili, crispy fried onions, cheese on the top, and tons of mustard. So that's
so
Dave's
hungry
favorite.
now.
I know, so I barbecue them. Would you barbecue them?
Sure,
Yeah.
barbecue them, put them on the grill, boil them if you want. You can even steam them. New Yorkers steam their hot dogs. We steam the hot dogs on the island, but a Chicagoan always grills the hot dogs. It's however you like it.
And my final question, would you let any of your staff sell a hot dog wearing pyjamas or onesies?
What, the hot dog?
Well, I don't care how they sell them. It's how you eat them. If you want to wear pajamas, if you want to wear a three-piece suit, the point is eat the hot dogs. They're the best here in the island.